Good day, Bear fans. Welcome, Coyote fans. This is my Bear Swap project first official announcement video. You are looking at a Australian inline six. This is the six that is the great grandson of the original Thrift Power 6. So you're looking at the descendant of the first inline six that went in the first Mustang. Let's talk a little bit about the car and my goals, because what I'd like to do eventually is twin turbocharge this motor, but we're going to start by just getting it running. I have a fairly straightforward build list. It's one crusty, wrecked 2000 Mustang. This was owned by a kid nearby who had an accident with it. Their mom and dad sold it to me for a lot less money than I'm thinking they probably thought it was worth, but it really was totaled before the guy wrecked it. There was some rust damage in that shock tower there that's thousands of dollars to fix typically. And the rust damage is kind of extensive. It's nothing I can't fix. I'm used to it. But anyways, with the engine out, you can do all that work. With the engine in, taking the engine in and putting it back, taking it out and putting it back can cost you a lot of money. So this is basically a way of salvaging this car. This car will eventually be back and running. I got all the parts to fix it cosmetically. I had to order a bumper. The rear bumper was kind of messed up, so I ordered a rear bumper. But the front bumper, hood, front bumper beam, I was able to source from my 2000 Mustang Coyote swap, which you'll notice is not in my garage right now because it's getting a new rear end, drive shaft, and clutch. A bunch of parts that I didn't have to buy for this swap project. So part of this project involves takeoff parts from my other Mustangs, including, drumroll please, the wheels. So this is going to have the wheels from my GT500. It's going to have the front brakes from my neighbor's 2005 Mustang GT. There's a big brake kit to bolt those on. And other than that, a used Barra motor, a used T56, which I'm going to have reconditioned, UPR suspension components. So that's a SN95, 9495 K-member for a pushrod V8 with Chris Nieves engineered swap motor mounts. I'll get you links to that stuff as soon as they appear. This is like the second pair he made, so they go on my car. Thank you, Chris, by the way. Chris also modified the oil pan, so it has a swap oil pan that he's going to be, I believe you'll have to core to get that oil pan. Since Barra motors are not exactly common up here, you send him your old oil pan probably, and he'll send you a modified one. Wiring and computer, I got that from Australia as well. I'm sort of teetering on using that computer or just going right with there's a third party, Haltech I think it is, makes a PCM that is a total replacement. Then I'd have documentation and support for my PCM and save me some time. I'm going to be doing a full write-up on how to make a swap wiring harness out of your old engine wiring harness. This is something I keep seeing people over and over and over asking for, so I will be doing that. Other things to note is version 2 of my K-member stand is working just exactly like I would want. I've got some real improvements to make it usable. That's basically some Harbor Freight items. You're looking at a pair of Pittsburgh, yeah, Pittsburgh Automotive. These are Chinese engine jack stands that probably everybody has in their damn garage. And some Harbor Freight lawnmower ramps. I've got a whole video on how to do that already. And those are the floor dollies you buy there. So we're looking at a few $100s worth of parts to be able to roll your engine around however you want. And then at Tractor Supply, you can grab a pair of these casters. Now I'm going to be making some safeties for these casters, but But that's the setup, along with $50 worth of steel to make yourself some really good subframe connectors that are solid as a rock, will protect your exhaust system. Again, a lot of this stuff is SN95 New Edge specific. I'm sure some of it applies to Fox bodies in general. You'll have to sort through that if you don't have the exact car I've got, or a 99 to 04. But mostly this stuff will work on most Fox chassis cars. All right, let's pull that motor out a little bit, or just at least get a better look at it. Hang on a second here. So this is why I love that setup. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got some really nasty welds with those subframe connectors. I'm going to grind those down. You know, chicks can see your welds, and if you have nasty ones like that, they're just not even going to look at you twice. So we'll get those welds cleaned up. And also gussied up. There's more gussets and stuff, but you can get a look at how that works. You're looking at $30, $40 worth of parts, and it may not be obvious, but I can just drag that motor out right now if I wanted to, if I wasn't holding the camera. So there's my motor, and how it's going to fit in the engine bay. There's a little bit more work, but you got it. We're off top dead center, folks. We are building, okay? So there's my engine. There's the car. There will be some mods of the car, but for the most part, that's a vanilla V6 Mustang body you're looking at there. So we're taking that from, you know, what it is to what it'll be. It's going to have the posi out of my 2000 Mustang in it when it's done, and an aluminum drive shaft, T56 from Australia that I'm going to have to modify a bit, and a Barra motor. Pretty certain I'm going to swap, because if you can see it, the intake for the outlet for the radiator and the inlet are swapped. So I'm going to have to look for a radiator that has that arrangement. I thought I would use my GT radiator, but without modifying the GT radiator, we're looking at trouble. I'm thinking just go and find a radiator that's got the rough dimensions I need and build a support system for it, and don't worry about it, with the right location of the holes, mainly. Let's talk about our fuel system. I've been working on the fuel system here. This is going to look nuts, okay? But I've come up with a way. I told you it was going to look nuts. Those are lug nuts. I've come up with a way to use the old retaining clips for this fuel pump. It fits right in the hole for the tip over fitting of a 2000 Mustang gas tank. Now, that gas tank looks like crap. However, you don't see any rust on it because I used electrolysis to remove the rust. And I got a whole series of videos on how to do that if you're absolutely bored to tears. But if you want to salvage your fuel tank and get it nice and cleaned up like this, and I know it doesn't look all that clean to the uninitiated, those of us that know steel know that's pretty clean. We'll be coating this entire thing in Herculiner, which will not only protect the tank from rust in the future, it'll also keep the fuel inside of it just a little bit cooler. So that's an Aeromotive A1000, I think it is. Serious fuel pump. Probably support me to 800 horsepower easily. Fuel lines are going to be AN8 and AN6. AN8 for feed, AN6 for return. That is a Quantum System fuel hat. You can buy that from Quantum Systems for $100 or so. So why did I do this? I want my stock hat where it sits, with the stock sending wiring intact. I don't have to dork around with that. I didn't want to spend $800 on a hat. I didn't want anything, you know, this is basically how to retrofit on the cheap, a really good AN style fuel system to a 2000 tank. Okay, and then my fuel lines are they're just protected here. You can't see it, but I've converted the hard lines for the old vapor return to the feed, and the old fuel feed to the return. Very straightforward. I got some video on that already. So I've been working on this project now probably 2 or 3 months before the motor arrived. The motor arrived about a week ago, and I've just been getting my tools in order and my shop in order. But I wanted y'all to see, this is my first video, and the project is to use as many used parts in an intelligent fashion to build the inline six Mustang Ford could have built in 2000 or 1999 even, because that Barra motor had a single overhead cam back in 99. By 2002, it's dual overhead cam. By 2004 or 5, I can't remember which, it gets variable valve timing, and it's around 4 liters. It's a heck of a motor, and it's obviously a beautiful design too. It may look crappy to some of you. You LS motors guys can suck it. Dual overhead cams, it's still got like a third more valves than your damn motor. Anyways, just a little bit of smack talk there. I honestly have a lot of respect for the LS crowd. I wouldn't own one personally, having worked for General Motors a long time ago and been treated badly by them as an employee. Kind of sours you to ever owning their products again. But I respect the fact that the motor does run, and people put them in Mustangs. And the other day I think I saw one in a Morris Minor, for crying out loud. You can LS swap a lawnmower if you want. So basically I'll be swapping this instead. So this will be all Ford. It's even got a nice Ford logo on it. That's stock. Into this Mustang, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. All of this stuff I'm doing, I'm going to document. I will have an extensive build spreadsheet for you to, subscribe to and share. So, ooh, hey, I got a little bit of interference with the lines there. Oh, this is the stuff that swapping is made of. There we go. So, it's going to still be another probably 6 inches into the engine bay, but whenever it's all done. But, yeah, hey, don't forget to subscribe. Again, I'm Paul Ferris, and thanks.